You're watching Melt. I'm Suresh Venkat. This week, we're talking all things AI. Recently, research firm Ipsos released a 31-country global report that tracked how consumers are perceiving AI. To know more, we are in conversation with Amit Adarkar, the MD and country manager for Ipsos in India. Do we truly understand AI? How much should we trust AI? Will the machines finally rise up against us? Let's find out as we get ready to melt with Amit Adarkar. Amit, welcome to Melt. Now, Ipsos, if I understand correctly, just studied 22,000 adults across 31 countries on the most controversial subject of the day, artificial intelligence. And your results say 1 in 2 people are worried. What are they worried about?
Well, actually, controversial is a bit of an understatement. The entire world is talking about AI right now. There are a couple of reasons why people are worried, Suresh. I think one of the reasons refers to this entire insecurity around jobs. That's a big concern for a lot of people. Will my job disappear? Will my job undergo a lot of change and I won't be able to cope up with it? I think that's the one big sort of area of worry. And the other one is regarding data privacy. Who owns my data? How do I ensure that, personal information that should really belong to me is actually out there in the open domain and anybody can misuse it. So I think these are the two big areas that we see a lot of concerns. What is also interesting is that the concerns have gone up tremendously over the last 2 years because we do this research, sort of multiple times. And as compared to 2021, in 2023, the concerns have gone up quite a bit.
Would I be right in assuming ChatGPT is
yes,
a large
yes,
factor?
that was obviously the big game changer. And that is what is actually giving rise to concern.
So 1 in 2 people globally are worried, but only 6 out of 10 Indians surveyed are worried about AI. What makes us Indians so chill about AI?
I think I'll take a step back actually, because when you look at the data, and as you said, we did this research in more than 30 countries. There's a fair amount of disparity in the global north and the global south, and the data sort of is interestingly quite different for the two areas. The level of excitement and the positivity is a bit higher in the global south. Obviously, India belongs to the global south, while as the concerns are, I would say, heightened in the global north. So there's a big difference between the north and the south. I think partly is because of the profile of a population. We are young, average age is under 30. The population is more tech friendly. I think they are more open to using things. They are using a lot of this tech already. So I think they feel more comfortable, they feel more excited. And the second thing is, global south per se, especially after COVID, we bounce back in a way which the global north is not able to bounce back. So there's this sense of positivity at the population level.
And it would seem we love technology as well.
Exactly.
We embrace technology at any given opportunity.
Exactly. And my sense is that for a lot of our countrymen, AI is seen as a bit of an enabler. That this is something which can get me ahead. This is something which can help me, sort of achieve my life goals. So to that extent, there's an open embrace to things which are driven by tech, and that reflects in the positivity.
Now, 6 out of 10 Indians may be worried about AI, but at the same time, urban Indians are also excited by the prospect of AI. One of the excitement is, of course, what can AI do in terms of helping me at my job? I imagine that's one source of excitement. What are the other things that Indians are excited about?
One of the biggest areas is entertainment, which is obviously, we love our entertainment, that goes without saying. And people believe that AI can brighten our lives much more via entertainment. The second area is healthcare, because interestingly, there's this belief that AI will bring in better healthcare in terms of products, in terms of services, in terms of sort of, just being, knowing more about your bodies so that you can take some preemptive action. So I think entertainment and healthcare, these are the two big areas where...
So let's get into both those areas.
Okay.
What is AI going to do to Indian entertainment? Is it going to write the next Bollywood masala film? Is it going to replace actors? Is it going to replace directors, producers? What is AI going to do exactly in entertainment?
Personally, I get a bit worried when people talk about AI replacing anything for that matter. I think a lot of things will evolve over time. The way, for example, OTT has impacted Bollywood, and not just Bollywood, even Hollywood for that matter. I'm sure AI will play a bigger role in sort of, challenging what is happening in the media entertainment scenario. But I also believe that there is room for everybody. When, for example, OTT came, there was a thing that TV is going to die. TV is still functioning. When e-commerce came, we said, traditional retail is going to die. It's still functioning. I think India is a large and complex market. There's always room for everybody and everything. But yes, I think AI-driven content and AI-driven entertainment is one area which will grow quite a bit, especially in our context.
I'm glad you brought this up. Every new technology, from power looms to TV to cell phones to everything, has always seemed to be threatening to the fabric of society, that certain jobs will get eliminated. But on the flip side, new jobs will get created, right? And to be sure, some technologies have made some jobs redundant. For instance, sailing ships, you don't see too many of those anymore. Or you don't see horse-mounted cavalry in armies. It's been replaced by drones and smart weapons. So some kinds of professions will go obsolete. Right? In terms of AI, what professions do you think are at threat?
Well, I mean, there are two actually dimensions to this. One is, something which will get outdated or obsolete. And
which would have got obsolete anyway, AI or no AI.
Yeah, which would have anyway.
The natural march of
natural part of survival of the fittest kind of philosophy. I think for me, the exciting part is that which are the professions or jobs which will undergo a lot of change because of AI, where AI is actually adding value. I think this time the concern linked to jobs is a bit higher and maybe a bit justified, especially because of the artificial generative AI, AGI, right? Because there are two aspects to AGI which make it very different than the earlier AI as well as any earlier technology. I think one point is that it talks to you in the language that you speak. Because in the past, anything to do with machine learning, even
you have to learn the language of the machine.
Unless you know coding, you couldn't speak. But now anybody who's an AI agent, you can speak to that AI agent in the language that you understand, which means that it has a potential of reaching everybody who can understand any language, which is pretty much everybody. So the impact is going to be much wider. It is going to impact a lot many more people. And second thing is now it's suddenly become open to all. Because when AI as a field, started many decades ago, it was mainly in the academic and scientific domain. Then it became a domain of engineers and coders. But now anybody who who has a phone or internet connection can actually start using. And that is what makes it interesting as well as worrying.
Let's talk about Ipsos and your clients now. How have conversations with your clients changed in the last couple of years?
Obviously, AI plays a big role in these conversations, but I think conversations are, I would say, more than the AI, the conversations mirror around complex business issues. Because finally, as a research agency, our role is to help clients in getting solutions to their business problems. One thing that we see nowadays is that the business problems are getting complex, uncertainty is going up. So obviously, there's an expectation that we'll be able to offer AI-based solutions to solve these problems. But I think more importantly is the quality of conversations and the degree of complexity, which I have seen change much more. Obviously, with AI, that has taken to a very different dimension. Clients are asking us what are our plans to get, AI-based solutions introduced.
If I was a marketer listening to the show or watching this show today, there are both fears and excitement around AI. What do marketers need to know about both sides, the fears and the excitement?
Let's talk about the excitement first. I think it brings a lot of value because, in today's market, you're dealing with a large degree of uncertainty. You need to reach out to your consumers, customers, with an effective message in the shortest possible time. You want to reach your customers and consumers in the shortest possible time. AI can add a lot of value. It can actually tackle inefficiencies in marketing, in distribution. It can actually help you allocate your funds better. It can actually help you in creating digital content much better. Because right now what I see is that most of the marketers will actually repurpose the television content for digital, which may not be the best way of actually tackling the digital content, because the target group which typically watches television may not be the same as the one who watches digital, right? But many times we have this tendency of taking a 40-second commercial and make a 10-second edit and putting it on digital, which is not the best way. So I think AI...
In the late 90s and early 2000s, people added .com to any random business.
Oh yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Business.
So I think, just sort of doing an edit and putting it into digital is a way of ticking that box that I'm doing
digital.
Also
on digital. Yeah.
There are a lot of things that marketers can benefit. I think the big concern that marketers should be worried about is with AI, you are actually losing control over your brand. Because, with influencers, with things going viral, the control that a classical marketer had on what the brand means, what the brand should stand for, that is disappearing quite a bit. I mean, there was a recent case just last month in one of the beer brands in the US, and that brand, without any explicit marketing intent, got tagged into the LGBTQ sort of messaging. And in some of the states which are strong sort of red states, that brand took a beating. Not because there's an intended activity from a marketing side,
but
it just got picked up, it got associated, and then sort of some of the consumers found that to be bad, while some others might have found it to be good. So to that extent, I think that the control that you have on the brand collaterals, that might come under threat, and that is happening already. So I think that's a bit of a watch out.
So almost every marketer we speak to is playing around with large language models like ChatGPT. So what is Ipsos doing with ChatGPT, and what are your clients asking you to do with ChatGPT, if anything at all?
So we are actually doing a lot with large language models. We partner both with OpenAI and Google, and we have an internal platform called as Ipsos Facto, which is not yet available to clients. It's something that we are testing in-house. But essentially, these are the OpenAI and Google platforms. So the ChatGPT 3.54 and even the Google platform, which we are using within our ecosystem, so that we want to experiment. Because I think AI, though it's exciting, but as a responsible corporate, we need to ensure that whatever we put out meets the basic minimum norm of what it should be. And we have this interesting way of sort of qualifying that by calling it truth, beauty, and justice. So what we believe is that AI can do a lot, but unless what goes out of Ipsos to a client meets these three criteria of truth, beauty, and justice, we should not actually take it out. So right now we're just testing out a lot of these things, about data validation, about data accuracy, about is the data usable, is the data actually sort of can be delivered without violating any personal data sort of challenges. So all of that work is happening internally, and at some stage, obviously, we will take it out to clients once we are convinced that it's a safe ecosystem to actually give it out to clients. So that's what is happening. Currently, we are using AI and Ipsos Facto a lot to improve our internal sort of processes and bring in efficiency. Because with AI, you can sort of do quality checks faster. You can analyze data faster. We do a lot of qualitative research where you deal with, interviews and videos. AI can, fast analyze, fast transcribe, fast translate, fast do content analysis. That helps our researchers quite a bit in looking at that semi-finished product and then add value. So I think a lot of experimentation is on currently.
Okay.
Clients are asking, and that's a question that, we get asked quite often, but our sort of point of view is very clear, that unless we are convinced about, what goes out is actually factually correct.
Like you said, truth, beauty, justice.
Yeah, without that, so because I think my worry
pass.
is that a lot of people will jump onto the bandwagon without understanding what happens.
It will happen.
And even ChatGPT, I mean, I'm sure you know that ChatGPT, it doesn't have any data post September 21.
Yeah.
So if you put something recent, it will actually tell you that I don't have the data, and it might just make up answers. Now, if you are doing something in your personal capacity, that's fairly okay. You just might have a good laugh. You ask a question and you get a made up answer.
Yeah.
But you can't do this when you
take that answer to be true and act upon it seriously.
Exactly. But we can't do it in our professional capacity. We owe it to the client just to make sure that, whatever goes out is, is accurate.
Another very flamboyant avatar of it, your manifestation of artificial intelligence, is the creation of deepfake videos, right? What are the concerns and the potential in this area?
Well, I mean, this is a bit of a fuzzy area at this stage, because I don't think we have a strong sort of process in place to look at the ethical implications of that. Because if anybody who's concerned is aligned, there's a consent and you're getting paid for it, there's nothing wrong. But if you do this, with a malicious intent without any consent, then this is a grave danger. So I think my sense is that a lot of the European markets and maybe the US also, they are a bit ahead of the curve in regulating some of these misuses. I mean, at times there's a bit of an overreaction because, Italy was the first one to ban, ChatGPT. Now, obviously, it's being allowed. So I think some sense of ethical control is necessary. My sense is India, we are moving in that direction, but we are still some time away because now it's only now that we have a PDP bill. So I think to actually figure out the implications of AI, we are still some time away.
Some universities, some organizations are asking for disclosures now. Was this written entirely by human? Was it assisted by AI? Was it written entirely by AI? How do you see this impacting the area of advertising, marketing, copywriting? Do you see AI assisted human beings writing copy, writing films, writing books? How do you see that playing out?
So I think my sense is that there's no answer which exactly says a yes or a no. It's a bit of a gray area. Areas where, for example, what you're pushing out is copyrightable products. For example, you're taking content which is somebody else's, protected under copyright, and then you sort of use AI to tamper with it and push it out on your own.
That's a risky.
That's a risk area. But one of the obviously, if you look at Midjourney or DALL-E 2, you can create art using currently available LLMs. I mean, there's unless, for example, OpenAI says that all of that copyright belongs to them, you are free. You have artistic freedom, right? Because you're creating that art. So I think yes, at some stage this will get into very ethical kind of questions. And I guess the same logic which is used for anything else. The music industry underwent this entire sort of existential sort of question maybe 20 years ago, with Napster and all of that.
Also, when you could digitally remix music and recreate
Exactly,
the sound of Elvis or recreate the sound of
So I think we've done all of that. It's just that now the challenge right now is that I talked about how AGI is something which is with everybody, and so I think it's difficult to then control, because some of the earlier technologies could be with, let's say, large companies only, or somebody who has experience in coding. But here, anybody can actually, create content, and then it gets a bit fuzzy, because, in an individual capacity, you do something, and then it becomes a bit fuzzy, because, that's a very individual expression of freedom. But to what extent is it a copyright issue? It is not. Is there a commercial angle to it? These are answers which will require a lot of consideration, I guess.
Amit, you also have a book coming out. And just to be clear, you wrote the book entirely without any assistance from AI.
No, absolutely.
Entirely authored
Absolutely.
by you. What's in your book?
Technology is something that I feel very passionate about. Not only that, as a research agency, we end up using a lot of tech, but that's something which, I really like. And one of the areas for me is how technology affects us as human beings. So this book, it's going to be called Non-Linear. Essentially captures today's world, which is very non-linear. I think for most of us, we have been born and brought up in a linear world, where we do 1 and then we do 2 and then we do 3. You go to school, you go to college, you do whatever. But now with some of the today's technology, that linearity has gone for a toss. We call television as a linear medium, but OTT is non-linear, right? So to that extent, now the world is becoming increasingly non-linear because of digitization. And there's just too many things happening. The pace has gone up. So the book, I'm trying to sort of capture the essence of how does it affect us? Because the reality is that most of our history, the tech that we dealt with, that tech has made our physical lives better. So steam engine, fossil fuels. It's only in the last 30 or 40 years that we have technology which is supposedly reducing strain on our veins. Supposedly, because, the book will actually present a logic that it's not only that, it's also putting a lot of strain. Attention spans are going down. Social media has made us very polarized. There's a tendency to share is much more than read and understand, and maybe not share. So we just like, hamsters in a wheel. So in this situation, and now with AGI coming in, with ChatGPT, things are going to get even more crazy. So what should we do? That's what the book is going to talk about. And I think I mentioned that I am an eternal optimist. So I feel that this is the beginning of a digital renaissance, similar to the 15th century classical renaissance. And then I'm going to sort of talk about some of the things that we could do as normal people so that we leverage the positives more and stay away from the negatives.
Samit, you're an optimist and you're going to talk about leveraging the positive. On the flip side of the coin is a cyber criminal or somebody who's equally as negative as you are, and that is their worldview. And human beings are biased in a plethora of ways. Now, inevitably, AI is going to start mirroring some of those biases because human beings are going to create AI and prompt AI. But the problem is AI can make life miserable for human beings at scale, which maybe individual human beings will find it hard to do. How do you think governments and institutions are going to respond to this? You already talked about Italy temporarily banning ChatGPT. Do you see the Indian government, for instance, regulating the use of AI? And
Well, it has to be a judicious mix of, negative measures and positive measures. I think, banning is not a solution to everything, because, you start sort of putting in these kind of measures, there's more curiosity to go and explore. If banning would have been an easy solution,
wouldn't have a
we
war on
wouldn't have
drugs.
had a lot of things in
Yeah,
the world,
yeah.
but that's not the idea. So I think my sense is, we need to talk a lot much more about AI so that people understand. The study that we did, though people claim they have heard AI and they know broadly, but when you ask them, okay, so what are the products and services which actually use AI? They say, I don't know. I just hear. So they might be using 5 things which currently has AI built into it. They don't know. And there could be 5 other things where AI is not currently built into the same extent, but they might believe that AI is getting used. So I think AI is, because it's getting talked about so much, everybody says they understand, but actually they don't. And that's where the role of positive education, and not education, not from the perspective of, learn coding, because now with AGI, you don't need to know coding. It writes code for you, right? So it's not about, put your kid in 5th standard coding class. That's not the way. But I think, we need to bring in the ethical dimension of AI. Start talking to kids when they're at school about, what are the good and bad about AI? What is the sense of accountability the human being who's operating the AI should assume? So I think those are the kind of positive twists on education, which is critical. Because I think the more people understand, the more sort of safeguards are built into it. Obviously, you'll always have bad characters who will try to misuse it, but that happens in the real world.
what do Indian B schools need to be teaching our marketing students about AI?
That's a very interesting question. I think, the run of the mill kind of teaching and cases would revolve around how can AI help businesses, how can AI build profitability, and how AI can simplify processes. But I still feel that, we need a strong orientation on the ethics, the AI being a responsible sort of tool, and having some guardrails around usage of AI. In large organizations, you deal with a lot of people, you have a leadership role, you need to engage with people. There's a human connect part. And that is something you need a human being at the other end to do that, because we are still some time away. We can always find out ways of making this efficient or save time or, make more money. But that part is also equally critical.
Amit, all the best for the launch of your book, and thank you for talking to us at Melt.
Thank you. Pleasure, and thanks for calling me.
And with that, it's a wrap on this episode. You can follow Melt on social media. The handle is Ready to Melt, or simply log on to readytomelt.com. If you'd like to follow me, I'm @SuVenk on Twitter. Till next week, goodbye, and thanks for watching.